Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-Vell Custom. So today we're going to start a work in progress series of painting up skin tone on this custom Black Lantern Wonder Woman statue I've been working on. Uh, I've done a work in progress series of her hair. You can check that out. I've done a work in progress series of customizing the base. And pretty much just ready to start painting her up. Now, at this point, the chrome work is all done. I've also done a video on how I do chrome work with Alclad Chrome, so you can check that out as well. It's basically on a Captain Marvel Bowen statue with the bracers, but this is just on a bigger scale. It's just, doing it bigger on armor and everything. So it's pretty much ready to be masked off. Now, as far as masking goes, I've also done a video series on using Silly Putty to mask off a Bowen Spider-Man statue. It's basically the same thing I'll be doing here, so when we come back, we're ready to paint. She's all going to be masked off and ready to go. The only hard part of masking will be up here with the mask, because as you can see, there's a little bit of skin tone up here with the hair that I designed. So what I'll do is I'll probably mask the mask off here, and I'll mask up over here, paint her up, and then afterwards touch it up there. It's easier that way than trying to mask all this. It's just one step that I can kind of work over later on. Then I got to mask off the chest guard area, but the belt, I just mask off the belt because we don't have to worry about masking down here, because this is where the outfit ends, so I can just mask off around in here. And of course, masking off the two bracers with the hands in the back, because you want to make sure you're painting the skin tone all in one shot. You're getting the hands and the body at the same time. You don't want to do the body and then that's all done, and then you got to try to match the hands with the body later. It's kind of easier to make sure everything's going at the same time. So that's pretty much, you check out those videos, and then you can, we'll come back and we'll start getting her painted up. But before that, we'll explain the paints. Now, I love Garage Kit Color paints, as you can see, and these are the paints I'll be working with. I want to make sure that she is not zombified, because I know in the comics she looked like at one point they're all like zombied out, and then and basically the pictures I'm working off of, she's just like a white skin, and she's kind of like dead looking. So I kind of want to go more with the white skin, but I want to add a little bit of my own flavor to it. So I'll be testing out some of these colors as I'm painting, and then we'll go through that as I paint and I like it, and then I'm going to run with it. But most of the colors I'll be using, we have transparent leather tan. I don't know if I'll be using this one too much because it's got too much brown in it. I don't want to use too much brown, so this is kind of like a what if I test on an area. But of course we'll be using pure white because she's pretty much white. Payne's gray, this is kind of like a bluish shading black, because this is kind of give a little bit more life to it than just straight up black shading. We have Garage Kit Flesh. I don't know if I'll be using this too much, but we'll see what happens. And then over here we have Base Predator Flesh, Sandstone, and Aged Bone. Now these colors are kind of really cool. They're pretty much mixed up. They got like some greens into them, but they're not too much. So I might mix, I might pick one of these, which might be the Predator or maybe the Aged Bone. I'm not sure yet. Or even Sandstone with some white. I'll work out my base color, and then we'll start painting it up from there. So it's kind of like, I've never done it before. I have the idea in my head, so we're going to kind of like wing it throughout the series as we go. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. And what I'll do is I get her all masked off, and we'll come back and we'll start painting her up. Alright guys, we're going to start painting up Wonder Woman now. Basically, we have all the Silly Putty done. We have this masked off here for the armor. We have this masked off for the armor. And I also masked off the two hands, as you can see. So we have Silly Putty, and then we also have Saran Wrap on those areas. What I did first in the beginning is I did a test of the other colors of Garage Kits. I did the test of the Aged Bone, the Sandstone, and the Predator Flesh. They're all too dark, they're too brown, they're too yellow. I didn't like where it was going, so I'm going to try to keep her more white. Basically, I have the flat white on her first, and we'll start doing all the shading. But before I do that, I like to use my sandpapers that I have, the 3M foam sandpapers. I'll go around, see if there's any errors that I've missed, maybe some scratches, anything that's kind of sticking up, and just kind of get those worked out. And then come back and do the white again and just start shading it up. So I think what I will do is I'll probably will use probably Sandstone as the first shade. Then I'll use my transparent Payne's Gray for a deeper shade, and then I'll mix it all back down with white. So I think I'm going to keep her more white, ghost-like in a way, with darker shades and mostly white highlights, and just run with that. I think that's the look I want to go with. I don't want her too zombie looking. I don't want her looking like, yellowish, greenish. I don't want to go that route. I want to follow that one comic book page that I'm looking at where she's basically white. So I'm going to try to keep it as that close as possible. So let me find all the errors if there's any left, and then we'll get to painting. Alright guys, so what I did was I used my sandstone. I like that color the best for some shadowing. So what I just did was I'm just laying down some colors in areas where the shadowing I want to hit. I'm not really thinking about, am I precise, am I perfect, am I getting it exactly the perfect shade and great, I'm just laying color down because it all gets blended down later. It's just the way I work. So I'm just kind of giving you guys an idea. It's sort of like if you were doing a traditional drawing on board or airbrushing on board. I know a lot of guys start painting darks to lights. I like lights to darks and stuff like this. This is kind of how I paint. So it's just laying color down. It's seeing how it's looking. I'm starting to see like the, the sandstone mixed with the white. I'm starting to get that color I like. It's kind of blending very well. It's not overpowering. So the next step is I'll do some Payne's Gray, and then I take it down and I just keep building. I don't have a formula. I don't have specific, way of doing all of this stuff. It's just a matter of I just keep blending and blending and blending. It's what I did in art school. It's one of my professors I liked a lot. He was an elective professor, and he just says, you just keep blending, you keep working the item until you get it to where you want it. You don't just try to slap that color down and say, okay, I'm done, I'm perfect. It's a matter of just working it and getting it to where you want it. So, this is just the first step. So we got some color in there. As you can see, I'm just hitting certain areas where I want some shading, where I don't want shading, leaving the white. And it's just giving me a guide exactly where to hit the next darker shade. And then you just keep going and going and going. So let's get cleaned up with the cup because just to give you guys an idea, even though I got that paint in there like that, I like to get that out of there. So I've done some videos in the past, but I'll show it again here just so you guys get an idea if I'm doing anything off camera. I got my 30% Windex, and then the rest is water. And I use these squirt cups because I squirt in there and I get it out. Now, some guys probably, or some videos might tell you, you put your paint in here and you put it in your cup and you squeeze out all the paint. Well, you can do that, but if you don't want that paint in the cup and take forever, you can just squeeze that all out. You get a lot of that paint out of the cup, and then you can squeeze out that paint. But then I also use my paper towel and I get this paint out because I don't like, you get your muted colors if you leave paint in the cup. I don't like doing that. So, alright, let's get us set up and we'll start doing the transparent Payne's Gray. Alright guys, so at this point I did my shading gray. I hit it with some more areas. It's really heavy, but I'm not worried about being all heavy and throwing a lot of color down because like I said, I'll just keep blending it out. So the next step is I'm going to start misting some white over it to take it down a little bit and use gravity because I like the shades being underneath the statue and the highlights being on top. and instead of trying to force, you know, shades and highlights underneath. It just, I don't know, it's just kind of how I let the sculpt do the work. So what I'll do is I'll put it up on top of the rack. We'll mist it down a bit. Okay, so as I blended it down, I took really some of the heavy stuff off, but we still have some of the shading going on. So what I'm doing is I'm building up like skin effects, you know. I'm just kind of building it up slowly, a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm getting an idea where I want everything to go. I'm also getting an idea of how the paint hits the 3D statue too, because if you hit it at this angle, it'll leave a shadow underneath here, and it'll leave an angle shadow there. So I'm trying to see, as I play with it, where I need to hit the airbrush, where I need to focus certain sprays. It's all about getting the idea where the sculpt is too, for me at least. You know, like I said, some people just go in there with an airbrush right away and they force their stuff. Me, I'm just kind of blending it and working it out and just having fun. So we're getting, you know, gradations, we're getting like a skin tone, and stuff's just starting to build up where I want it, where I don't want it, and just having fun with it. So now that I got this step done, I'm going to go into the garage and I'm going to kind of seal it a bit with my Tester's dull coat out of the can. This stuff here, I'll give you guys an idea. Tester's dull coat, I always write dull on the can. So I'll dull that down a bit, let it dry a little bit, and come back, and then I'll start doing like some detailing work while adding some more color, hitting some areas that the airbrush isn't allowing me to hit with it, just blending, and just keep running with it.